So, we are going to digress here just a little bit because the video is not turning out quite the way I wanted it to, which actually is a lot of fun. So what's going on is that Paul Foster Case, who was founder of the BOTA, Builders of the Adytum, in his writings on the tarot, he had a tarot formation that he used for instructional purposes, where the tarot cards, the Major Arcana, were essentially laid out in 3 rows of 7, representing spirit, soul, and body. So the video I'm making here was an effort to find a way of doing the same with the Minor Arcana. And so what I came up with is, just a moment here, I basically felt that this had been taken about as far as it could go. And I wanted to transition into an arrangement where the Minor Arcana were also in 3 rows of 7, so to speak. I wanted to explore the Minor Arcana in terms of those 3 levels, spirit, soul, and body. And so the best arrangement I could come up with was 3 rows of ostensibly 5, but there's only 14 cards, so that left an empty space. So the 14, the king, represents the epitome, in effect, of human development. It's the highest that on the mortal plane a human being can go. So beyond that, you're dealing with the principles and forces of the Major Arcana. And so for that purpose, typically when we're in spreads or diagrams that are talking about the Major Arcana, we start with 0, the Fool. So putting the Fool at the end didn't quite work because the Fool represents the beginning, the source, the primary tablet that we start with in our journey, our path of return. So it's better to place the Fool at the beginning. And when I did that, things came together a lot better. So in the process of working on this, and with the revelation that we should put the Fool here to represent the beginning or source of all things, I was thinking about the aces of the Minor Arcana. So, back to the Minor Arcana. In this previous setup here, we have basically 7 rows of 2 columns. And that also indicates balance. But balance can also indicate stasis. I talked earlier about how this was a cycle from the upper to the lower and back again. Well, this is also a cycle from the inner to the outer, and from the outer to the inner and back again. But we were looking also, I was looking at, let me get to it here. Anyway, as I was saying, I was looking at how we have the Fool here as the source or the beginning. And as I remarked earlier, it reminded me of the ace. The ace is described for each suit as being the root, or as Arthur Edward Waite put it, the radical of each element. And a radical is something that is standing by itself. So if we take the ace and make it a radical, we therefore place it at the top where it stands by itself. So if we're still working with the columns of 2, then we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then we have 14 left over. Since 14 represents the epitome or the highest development of the mortal human, it in itself stands alone. And so we wind up with this balance restored, or symmetry restored, and instead of 7 rows of 2, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows representing science instead of art.